नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं शैलेश आपके साथ फिर से जुड़ रहा हूं इस वॉकिंग वीडियो सीरीज में डिजी शिक्षा के चैनल पर फ्रॉम 3SRC एकेडमी एंड करियर नर्शर्स के द्वारा। क्षमा चाहूंगा आज थोड़ी सी विलंब के लिए, जो टेक्निकल थोड़ी सी ग्लिचेस आ रही थी उसकी वजह से हम आपके थोड़े करीब 20 मिनट हम लेट हो गए हैं। आपके इस पसंदीदा चैनल के लिए आपको जोड़ने के लिए इस 20 मिनट के लिए मैं आप सबसे क्षमा चाहूंगा, और सॉरी फॉर दिस इनकन्वीनियंस for this very powerful session which we have, and very exciting and interesting session which we are trying to bring into you. So इसी के लिए I believe I have a very eminent personality and from industrialists and a practitioner from this industry. But उनके बारे में कहने से पहले let me try to show you something which really introduces him in fact. So उनको बताने के लिए, उनको introduce करने का तरीका मैं थोड़ा सा जैसे हमेशा कुछ अलग यूज करता हूँ. So this is what exactly I have for him to introduce him in fact. सो वेलकमिंग स्वामी जी आपको हमारे डिजी शिक्षा चैनल में, जहां पर हम अलग अलग मेंटर्स, गुरुज को जोड़ते हैं। और आज मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, एक बीएफएसआई इंडस्ट्री से, बैंकिंग, फाइनेंस, सिक्योरिटीज एंड इंश्योरेंस की इंडस्ट्री से वी हैव अ प्रैक्टिशनर लाइक यू, जो कि 3 decades से who have been working in this industry and bringing with us such a diverse and rich experience. I am quite sure हमारे जो ऑडियंस हैं, जिसमें स्टूडेंट्स भी हैं, प्रोफेशनल्स भी हैं, and I believe there are faculty members as well as people who are entrepreneurs. So they will actually get a lot of benefited how from your advices, because you have been in the advising position and from all these years in fact. And I know before I actually ask you and start shooting some of my very exciting questions जो कि है, मैं लोगों को ये भी बताना चाहूंगा कि I believe as a leader, Swami ji brings in a very different personality from a sports world also. He has been a national team player and he has held the ranking of a table tennis 8th level India ranking. And I believe personally मैं भी स्वामी जी टेबल टेनिस का फैन रह चुका हूँ, और मैं हैदराबाद में था तो हमने कॉर्पोरेट की जो टूर्नामेंट हुई थी उसमें सेकंड प्राइज मिला था. We were very happy from that. And with a national paper player with table tennis, playing virtual table tennis, आज की तारीख में हम digital platform पे, I am very happy to share this platform with you. And I believe you represented Punjab as a state and national junior champion in table tennis. So we welcome you, Swami ji, over to this platform. Once again, स्वागत है आपका.
Thank you, Shailesh ji. Thank you so much.
So straight away, jumping out because we have lost some time. I believe the very exciting thing in this industry which is happening, and आज की स्थिति में जो इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर इंडिया में है, हाउ इज इट परफॉर्मिंग राइट नाउ? उसमें क्या चेंजेस आ रहे हैं इन सालों में? व्हाट डू यू थिंक क्या होगा अगली ऐसे में इस सिचुएशन में इंडियन इंश्योरेंस इंडस्ट्री का, और जो नए बदलाव आ रहे हैं इन सब चीजों में? स्वामी जी आपके द्वारा।
See, insurance industry को if you need to go into some bit of history to understand how insurance has progressed in India, you can predominantly divide it into three prominent eras, starting with like before 1956, between 1956 and 1999, and post 1999. So there has been a paradigm shift in the way we have conducted insurance business in all these eras. Actually, many of my young friends who would have joined us in this discussion, they would not know that before 1956, India had as many as 350 insurers working, across life insurance, medical insurance, and general insurance, all these sectors. So 350. Today we have only 57. So 350 insurers, when they were working, the government of that day, they felt that probably this is creating an unhealthy competition, and government decided to nationalize a part of the insurance business. In fact, the entire the insurance business, but in probably a couple of stages. So then it clicked in the era which starts with 1956 to 1999. In 1956, in fact, 200 odd insurance companies were merged together to form Life Insurance Corporation of India, the LIC, the big Goliath which we know today. So was formed in 1956. So entire life insurance business was nationalized. So it was, if you had to have an insurance policy, you had to go to only one insurer. There was no choice. And then in 1972, balance about 150 odd insurance companies who were operating in general insurance, they were also merged together to form General Insurance Corporation of India. And we all know that they operated through their four subsidiaries: Oriental, National, United, and New India Assurance. So again, there was, in fact, we were left without any competition, because if you are not happy with New India, you could have gone to Maximum Oriental, or to United, or to National. So they were all brothers. In fact, eventually they were all part of the same holding company, General Insurance Corporation of India. So probably during that period, insurance progress in India did not happen at the desired levels.
Okay.
Because complacency had set in because of the public sector. Nobody wanted to go out and sell. Insurance concepts were not sold as they should have been. Insurance was not marketed as a risk management device. It was marketed more from the angle of savings as far as life insurance is concerned, or maybe at best a tax saving device. So it was not a risk management device anymore. That kind of era it was. And then even in general insurance, most of the business which was booked, it was more on the essential side. Like in auto insurance, you can't take your vehicle out on the road unless you have a minimum third-party insurance. So that was compulsory. So one had to buy, and buy only from one source. So, or maybe if a bank had to lend it to you, lend any amount to you, he will insist, or maybe say that you have to kind of get the insurance of those assets done. So those were the kind of insurances which we have had during that 44 years of period.
Interesting.
Then Insurance Regulatory Authority was formed. And then government of that day again felt that, this system of privatization to nationalization did not really work, because it did not add any depth to the insurance business in India at all. I mean, it was very meager, in fact. So to exploit that potential of India, so they again reversed their decision, and they inducted the private sector into the fray. So from 1999 onwards, now we are operating on a hybrid system where private companies as well as public companies, they coexist. And right now we have 57 insurance companies working in India, both in life and non-life space, out of which 5 are, of course, the same public sector companies, and rest are operating in the private sector. So if you see these three workings in these three eras, there has been a paradigm shift in how insurance actually worked. So in this 44 years of period, insurance had virtually become a push product.
Okay.
Because everybody had to kind of sell somebody somehow, materialize a sale. It was like you
You are muted, Bharaji. You have become muted. Sure, Swamiji, आपका mute हो गया. Yeah, now it's fine.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
now it's okay.
Yeah. So later, now it has become a kind of pull product, because after IRDA came into picture, they started controlling the sector very effectively, and secondly, they put a lot of thrust on the education of the consumers. So consumers started understanding the reality of insurance, which is basically which insurance should be used as a risk transfer mechanism. It should not be a kind of tax saving device or just to meet the obligation of a compulsory insurance. So there is risk. So IRDA insisted that you should be recognizing that risk and then place it to an insurance company. So then it gradually has shifted to as a kind of pull product. So people are asking for insurance. So that is the main shift which you were like, which you prompted me to say. Yeah.
I believe very, very interesting. I believe I remember when I had joined my first job, जब मेरी पहली नौकरी लगी थी, and somebody came and said कि insurance खरीद लो, इतना premium देना पड़ेगा, हर साल देना पड़ेगा. Yeah. So as you rightly said, आज से 30 साल पहले it was like a push. Somebody really convinced me. My father asked me and everybody कि नहीं खरीदना चाहिए. But today that is an asset and a boon to me. आज की तारीख में that is actually an asset. So very rightly said, it's from a push to pull as a history. How in India insurance industry has evolved. Wonderful. I believe that brings me to a very, very interesting question. In your opinion, I believe what would be the proof of successful careers? इसमें इस evolution में careers जो insurance industry में India में बने, उनका क्या रुझान रहा? What are they shaping up? And probably in today's era and the coming era, what do you see the careers to be in insurance industry?
See, very unfortunately, insurance has always suffered from a perception point of view. Insurance has, like, if you talk to a youngster, he will have a perception of an insurance company, insurance professional, as a person who is selling policies. I mean, it is not going beyond it. Like, he will see an insurance professional as a kind of middle-aged person who will carry a briefcase full of all sorts of forms and documents, and will probably come to his father to sell a policy. And supposing if they strike a deal, then he will fill out all those forms, take a check from him, and then go back, deliver the policy back to him after a few days. So that is not the profession which youngsters would like to get in. And many a times, as you rightly said, like you faced it, like if an insurance agent or some sales professional calls you, you would rather avoid him, because you will feel that probably he will get me another policy which I probably don't want. So that was the kind of push which was there, and it is ingrained in our circuitries of our brains. This is what is the perception of an insurance professional today. But I think the reality is starkly different. The reality is that now, of course, those people have also become very modern. Now online sales are happening, so they are using technology to sell. although I mean the method of reaching out to the customer has changed.
Correct.
It is completely the internet based, and all of that, all those things are available. But there are so many, like when you talk of the professionals in this area and what is the probably what happens in the background, and there are so many departments where youngsters, very well turned out, suited, booted kind of people, they also work in the same industry. So they maybe working in the departments like maybe underwriting, claims, operations, or they could be at managing treasury.
Correct.
So all those things are also, those departments are also there in the insurance company, and they are probably almost in equal proportion. They're fairly large. So all those areas are there for the professionals to go to actually.
Wonderful. Abhi, so that's a very lot of variety of लोग सोचते थे कि इंश्योरेंस में तो केवल एक सेल्स वाला ही दिखता है. While to run that industry, there are a lot of people behind backdrop to make that industry run.
Yeah,
there are many careers behind that scene, which probably people do not realize that, and specifically the young professionals do not realize that कि हाँ वो sales वाला ही एक role नहीं है, बहुत कुछ पीछे भी है. I believe.
And I mean, ultimately, there is somebody who determines the premium to be paid. So they are actuaries. So they're very, I mean, respected jobs. And the underwriter, the person who assumes the risk. So whether a risk should be taken by the insurance company or it should be declined, it is the decision of an underwriter. So all those people are in a decision-making position. So which I think should excite the youngsters.
Absolutely, and I believe young millennials absolutely should be very excited कि हाँ मुझे भी decision करने का फैसला मिल रहा है, ना कि the top person of the organization only decides, which
Absolutely.
they can do it very young in fact. Very well.
Absolutely.
So what do you think would be the factors? क्या factors होंगे जो कि insurance industry को दूसरी industry से कुछ अलग बनाते हैं या हट के बनाते हैं? Which factors do you think would be the different ones?
See, insurance is a part of a service industry which accounts for, in any case, more than 55% of Indian GDP.
Okay.
So service sector is more than 55% of Indian GDP.
Correct.
And manufacturing and agriculture and all, their contribution is limited to say 40 to 45%. So this area is thriving, and particularly, I mean, emotionally it may be slightly different, but when all the industry is nose diving, it is the insurance which will be thriving in these days, because now there is a absolutely utter need to transfer the risk. Nobody can afford to keep the risk with themselves. So insurance industry, as you would have noticed, I mean, maybe it has grown by at least 35% in these years, in these pandemic months, 3 months.
That's interesting.
So it has grown, particularly medical and life insurance. It has grown by 35%. And the other risks, of course, nobody can afford to keep. Even government has made it compulsory for even the smaller enterprises.
Correct.
Having even 6-7 people, they have to have a group medical claim insurance in place. So this is a very different dimension in the service industry, which there'll be no recession ever. Maybe.
Very true, very true. So Abhi, with this, where do you think is the insurance, general insurance, specifically the general insurance, where do you think the general insurance is moving ahead in the future? किस direction में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं? I believe with this kind of a growth, it's very, very interesting. I believe what has happened in the last couple of months, as you are saying, हम किस direction में बढ़ रहे हैं general insurance industry में आगे? Where do you think are the prospects and opportunities?
General and life, both.
Okay.
In fact, India is a highly underpenetrated market.
Okay.
Right now, if you see, India is operating only at probably 8% of its potential. I'm not even counting our, brothers who are not so fortunate, who are even living below the poverty line. For them, of course, government is running some schemes. But even if you discount them, still India is running at about 8% of its potential as far as the life and general insurance is concerned.
Okay.
So there is a huge scope of growth in this profession. In any case, I mean, for the last few years, it is growing at 25% year on year. I mean, no other sector can actually touch it by a barge pole also, because the next best sector, which is IT, is growing only at 8% year on year.
Exactly.
So that's the kind of difference. And it is not a flash in the pan. It is not a one-off thing. No, I would seriously say that for the next 1 decade or so, the same kind of growth will be registered in this sector. I mean, there are so many other dimensions. Like, when we talk of insurance, either we talk of life or we talk of some assets. But nobody in India yet talks about the liability side of the insurance. So, to give you a small statistics, liability insurance out of the whole general insurance basket is just about 1% of the total premium. Just about one. Actually, it is hardly 1% of insurance premium. Whereas the same percentage in the United States is 70%.
Oh my God.
So the liability insurance actually has not even evolved in India. And those things are with consumers becoming aware of their rights. So they are definitely going to be, taking up this, because once they know this is what they can claim against a manufacturer or, anybody, anything which they buy or consume. So once they are aware of their rights, they are going to fight it out, and courts will have to be start deciding, I would say. I mean, because there are huge backlogs in cases. That is why people are not very encouraged to go to courts, because liability under these kind of policies is to be decided in the court of law. So once that happens, those reforms are there, this liability business is going to grow. I mean, many folds. So those are the areas which are not even visited in India. So the growth is unlimited. I mean, you can look at it. I always call it as a sunrise sector. Actually.
Sunrise sector. Thank you. I can visualize that, and I believe because I have spent equal number of years in the IT industry, while IT industry took the India to a very different league in the overall global arena.
No doubt about it. Yeah.
But as you rightly said, from overall GDP perspective, from economy perspective, the percentage is still in single digit, and I believe insurance is adding to that double digits of 25%.
No, that is as far as the growth rate is concerned. IT has already achieved a lot.
Correct.
I mean, IT in absolute terms, IT will be contributing much more today. It is not that, because they are earning. I mean, single TCS has crossed 100 billion target of exports.
Correct.
So they are doing very well. But I'm only saying that the year-on-year growth in the sector.
Correct.
So if insurance is clocking 25%, IT is clocking 8%, because they are already at a decent level.
Decent level.
Yeah. But so, insurance, since it is nascent, I mean, like you can say that it has just started evolving itself.
Correct.
So the scope of improvement is also a lot.
Absolutely.
Growth is also a lot.
Absolutely. So as we call it, there's a lot of headroom in insurance.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of headroom in insurance, I believe, for professionals to come in. I believe because you actually prompted my next question. मेरे दिमाग में जो question था, आपने उसके लिए already you have prompted me as a mentor. You are, I believe, as a mentor for many of the professionals, as well as a mentor for many of the students. And we get many students and asking कि कौन सा career choose करें, कैसे choose करें, क्या करना चाहिए मुझे. Those are the questions many of those students are asking. So what is your recommendation, guidelines for them if they have to choose a career in insurance industry? उनको क्या करना चाहिए और कौन-कौन सी skill develop करनी चाहिए और क्या duration में what they can bring out? If you can throw some guidance to them as a mentee, what would be your recommendation to them, Swamiji?
So see, I think it is pretty simple. In case they wish to join this sector, there is a huge upside to it, because anybody joining the sector now, since it is going to progress, at that kind of a speed which we just discussed. So anybody joining now will be also progressing a lot. in their verticals and professions. So areas where they can go to are like primarily insurance companies. Insurance companies actually they are not employing some phenomenal number of people, but peripheries around it. They are the main employers, like brokers. It could be web aggregators. It could be corporate agents. It could be KPOs. It could be BPOs. I mean, KPOs and BPOs we don't even count when we talk of insurance employment. So if we talk about it in terms of numbers, Gurgaon alone will employ about 100,000 people in BPOs and KPOs in insurance. They are working for foreign insurance companies. And Noida will have another 100,000 people employed. And in this sector, from the studies and surveys and estimates, India is going to be needing about another 2 million employees in the next 2 years in this sector. So
Wonderful.
huge upside. And there is one more dimension to it. Youngsters can even become self-employed through insurance.
Okay.
Because government now, IRD has recently opened the distribution. It's a very highly regulated sector. I mean, because this position of before 1956 should not return. So government has taken their steps very cautiously, and now the system is very very regulated. So they have introduced point of sale persons, new distribution channel, which can work under the main distribution channels, and any number of people can be employed over there. So there's no formal, and to come to your second point, that what they should be doing.
Correct.
I think it is, there's not much formal education which is available in India on insurance. But if there are any things like, if there are some certificate courses or diploma courses, I think side by side, as your like undergrads or postgrads, they are pursuing their courses. I think they should be pursuing these certificates and diploma courses so that they get acclimatized with the system. And then when they approach the insurers or jobs, they are already a few steps ahead.
Oh, wonderful.
So that makes them employable straight away.
As a freelancer on their own. So it becomes a kind of a part-time also as well as a full-time opportunity of career, in fact.
Yeah. Even I mean, so many, at least 5-6 multinational companies I know who employ at least 1,000 to 2,000 people every year.
Oh.
And they don't get right people actually to work for them.
Wonderful. So I believe any specific streams of people which need to be doing these kind of certification programs or any of the streams which coming out of graduation or post-graduation, they can get into this?
Actually, any stream can get into it. The only thing is that, as we discussed before, there are sub-streams of insurance. Like if somebody is more interested in underwriting, so they should go in for a specialization in underwriting.
Okay.
Or actuarial qualification, or they should be, they can master the art of operations management.
Correct.
Or even if even finance professionals can be absorbed in treasury management. Even IT jobs are also there in insurance. I mean, because insurance is becoming nowadays, for the last 3 months, there's no paper exchange, but still the insurance is going on.
Absolutely.
So insurance is completely online now.
Absolutely. I renewed all my things on my mobile, in fact. So
yeah, absolutely.
Called me, in fact, and they didn't want it, and the policy will be emailed to you on email. So everything is digital.
Absolutely.
Very well said that.
Digital.
There is one question coming up for you, Swamiji, from the audience.
Yeah.
And the question is, term insurance is better or a life insurance is better? I believe somebody is asking a very, very fundamental question, I believe, from what is better, I believe, as a choice.
No, life, actually, term insurance is also a life insurance. Basically, I think what probably this gentleman wants to ask is that life insurance with savings is okay, or only term insurance? You see, term insurance is only, it covers only the risk of life. It doesn't give you anything back. I mean, there's no return on a term insurance policy unless one claims for it. Ultimately, I mean, you have to die to claim insurance, and insurance is principally not ever done for yourself. Life life insurance is done only for your dependents.
Very
So I would say that go for only term policy. Never go for insurance which is a combination of investment and risk cover. There is no point, because if you are looking at return on investment on a life insurance policy, I think it's not a good thought, because life insurance companies cannot give you a return as compared to the market. Like if you invest your money with mutual funds or in any other form, it will give you always better return, because life insurance company, they will have more management costs than mutual funds and all. So go for term policy.
I believe you answered it very well, and probably now I'm going to come to my last question based upon the timing which we lost initially. So I believe, what will be your top 2 recommendations for the people around at this point of time? What insurance product they should look forward in today's time?
So insurance, I think there are, if you are asking for 2 things, one, I would say, first of all, you must do insurance, because, we are all susceptible to risks. I mean, at every moment, every time, we are having some risk or the other. So it could be a risk to your asset, to your health or life or anything. I mean, risk is always there with us. So many a times we wish to retain some of the risk. Like supposing if you construct a house, if you take example of a normal middle class Indian family, because I'm a practicing chartered accountant also, so there are so many people who come for financial consulting and all that. So from my experience, I can say that a normal household, when they construct a house, they not only invest all their savings till date, but probably the savings which they are going to effect over the next 10 years also is invested into a house. Because they will seek loan, and probably they will return that loan in the next 10 years. So all that savings till date, as well as the future savings, are invested in one property, which is a asset created. And if something happens to that asset, so can that person ever venture to reconstruct it? Probably no. It will be very difficult for that person to stand up and do it all over again. So first, I would say that you must transfer all that risk for a minor price to an insurance company. At least you are able to, once you have done it, I mean, you don't have to redo it with your own money and efforts and earning. So first thing is that if you understand your exposures to the risk, and then transfer it wherever it is possible, of course, considering the cost dynamics, that how much you can afford in terms of premium and all. Secondly is like, go for adequate amount of insurance. Like many people will have, say, medical insurance policies or life policies. They will have those policies for having sake. Like medical insurance policy, say of 3 lakh in today's terms. I mean, sometimes you can, like if you recently would have seen those rates going up of hospitals, which are probably, I mean, I saw one quote which was 72,000 rupees per room night, which probably I think is not even charged for presidential suites in 5-star hotels.
Correct.
So these are the kind of medical expenses which you look at. I mean, you can probably you can encounter. So since the medical costs, etc., are prohibitive, so you should be adequately covered for anything, including the life insurance. Of course, I mean, if there is a benefit, there should be, like, you will have to assess that how your dependents will live after you, and with the same kind of a lifestyle. So assess that amount, and then that much money should be provided. So adequacy of insurance is a must, and then at least the transfer of risk. Take that step of insuring yourself.
Wonderful, I believe. I really appreciate that, and I'm quite sure the audience and the viewers will actually learn a lot of things. And as you beautifully took us through the journey from the history of insurance, and I really liked the push and pull concept, which initially push and now it's becoming a pull factor. And what I am quite sure everybody must have gathered from our discussion is there's a lot of headroom and a growth in the insurance industry. A lot of penetration which is there as a market in India, as insurance as an Indian market itself is there to reach out to so many people across. And the career opportunities for many of the professionals and students, it's not only those front-end sales opportunities, there are many other opportunities at the backdrop, also at the back end, which people do not realize that in an insurance industry. And I believe I'm quite sure with the final verdicts of how you should be adequately covered, I believe to make sure that your lifestyle is covered, whether whatever time, corona or no corona, aaj ye hai, kal kuch aur hoga, kuch na kuch to I believe they'll be there. So how do you de-risk yourself and transfer the risk to somebody else has been very well summarized. So I'm quite sure people will really learn from these pearls of wisdom, and I'm quite sure we'll keep bringing experts like you, and we'll ask you to come again in some shape and some size to pass on these words of wisdom from the BFSI industry, as I call it. So thanks a lot, Swamiji,
Thank you.
On behalf of the Digi Shiksha team, which has been driving this channel and trying to disseminate this knowledge and gurus like you as part of the Walking of the Guru series. Thanks a lot, Swamiji.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And audience, I believe while we are bringing you such rich pearls of wisdom from all across the industry and different industries, we would very soon bring you some other industries next week, and we'll keep sharing with you. Just to remind you, I believe we are available on different channels on different time slot, which is what you can see on Facebook Live. We are there on Tuesdays from 8:30 to 8:45 with news and inspirational things. Saturday, like today's session, is on business and interviews and some panel discussion. The way we did it from emotional intelligence with women leadership last week, and we are launching an emotional intelligence certification module of around 16 hours starting next week. Sunday, which is tomorrow, is again Facebook Live with a lot of news and entertainment. So keep watching. I believe next week you will have something very excitement, some new nice activities getting launched by Digi Shiksha channel on Facebook Live itself. YouTube Live, we are trying to bring in a lot of management topics and educational things from 5 to 5:30, as well as on Instagram Live, we brought in very interesting and intriguing topics on technology and entertainment from 5 to 4:30. Like yesterday, we talked about the business analytics and business intelligence. And I believe that's again, which I could see every industry has been using it. Just now, I believe today's session, a lot of statistics, a lot of analysis from the insurance industry, we heard that. And that's what probably is required for today for any business, in fact, to survive or any careers to be prospering. So with these words, I believe I'll just like to request all of you to keep sharing your transformation learning journey in this period, whatever you have spent. Write it to us, visit our website for more certification programs. We'll be very happy for you to see you out there with many of the mentors and gurus which are joining us from different industries. Keep sharing it, keep liking it, keep subscribing to the channel. We'll be very soon be back with you. And once again, sorry for the small delay which we had because of the technical glitches. See you very soon tomorrow on Sunday with entertainment. Namaskar.